Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Never give your partner another chance if they did those three things. Trust is the cornerstone of every meaningful relationship. It's not just about believing in the other person, it's about feeling safe in their presence, knowing they value the bond you share and will do everything to nurture it. When trust is betrayed, it doesn't just crack the foundation of the relationship, it shakes your sense of reality. Whether it's through infidelity, deceit, or a series of broken promises, betrayal feels like a direct attack on the connection you've built. And here's the hard truth: betrayal alone is damaging, but what follows it often determines whether a relationship can survive or should end. When someone betrays your trust, the natural instinct might be to seek answers. Why did this happen? What did I do wrong? Can this be fixed? These are questions that flood your mind as you try to make sense of the chaos. And in those moments of vulnerability, the actions of the person who broke your trust reveal everything. Accountability, or the lack of it, is the defining factor. Accountability is more than just a simple apology. It's more than a few words of regret hastily strung together to move past the discomfort. Real accountability requires courage, self-awareness, and genuine remorse. It's about standing in the discomfort of their actions, acknowledging the harm they've caused, and showing through consistent effort that they are willing to change. It's saying, I see the pain I caused you, I own what I did, and I am committed to doing the work to ensure it doesn't happen again. But what happens when there is no accountability? When your partner minimizes their actions or blames you for their betrayal, it becomes clear that they are unwilling to confront the damage they've caused. Maybe they say things like, you're overreacting, or if you hadn't done this, I wouldn't have done that. These phrases aren't apologies, they are deflections, ways to shift the blame onto you or diminish the gravity of their actions. Without accountability, trust cannot be rebuilt. You can't plant a seed in barren soil and expect it to grow. In the same way, you can't move forward in a relationship where the person who hurt you refuses to own their behavior. Without accountability, you're left carrying the weight of their betrayal, trying to rebuild trust on your own, and that's a burden no one should bear. Trust is fragile, but it is also sacred. It takes years to build and only moments to shatter. When someone refuses to take accountability for breaking that trust, they are essentially saying, your pain doesn't matter to me as much as my comfort. That's not love. That's not respect. And it's certainly not the foundation for a healthy relationship. If your partner betrays you and then dismisses your feelings, refuses to own their actions, or fails to show a genuine effort to repair the damage, that's your sign. Your heart may want to give them another chance, but your sense of self-worth must demand better. True love isn't perfect, but it is built on mutual respect, accountability, and trust. Without these, a relationship isn't a partnership, it's a one-sided effort where you're left hoping they'll one day value what they've already proven they don't. Boundaries are the silent guardians of your well-being. They define where you end and where the world begins, protecting your sense of self, your values, and your emotional and physical health. Setting boundaries is not about keeping people out, it's about creating space for respect and understanding to thrive. When you enter a relationship, you open your heart, your time, and your energy to another person. In doing so, you trust that they will honor the lines you've drawn, those sacred limits that represent your needs and your self-respect. But what happens when a partner repeatedly disrespects your boundaries? At first, it might seem small, a casual dismissal of your preferences or a subtle push against your comfort zone. You may brush it off thinking they didn't mean it or it's not a big deal. But make no mistake, these small transgressions are red flags. Over time, the dismissal of your boundaries can escalate, leaving you feeling disrespected, unheard, and even unsafe. Boundaries are not just arbitrary rules, they are expressions of your inner truth. They might be as simple as asking for space when you're overwhelmed, or as profound as protecting your emotional health from hurtful behaviors. When you say, I'm not comfortable with that, or this is what I need to feel safe, you are showing vulnerability and trust. A loving partner will listen, validate your feelings, and honor those boundaries. But a partner who consistently disregards them is sending a clear message your needs do not matter as much as their desires. Let's be clear, pushing against boundaries isn't about love or passion. It's about control. When a partner refuses to respect your limits, they are prioritizing their own wants over your well-being. This behavior might look like ignoring your request for time alone, dismissing your concerns with phrases like you're overreacting or pressuring you into situations that make you uncomfortable. These are not acts of affection, they are acts of disregard. Over time, this pattern can erode your self-esteem. You may begin to doubt yourself, questioning whether your boundaries are too rigid or unreasonable. You might start compromising your values and comfort to maintain peace or avoid conflict. But the truth is, boundaries are not the problem, disrespect is. A healthy relationship is built on mutual respect, and that includes respecting each other's limits, even when they are inconvenient or hard to understand. Some might argue that love means compromise, and to an extent that's true. But compromise is a two-way street. It involves communication, understanding, and a willingness to meet each other halfway. Disrespecting boundaries, on the other hand, is a one-sided act of dismissal. It says, my comfort is more important than your peace, and that's not love, it's selfishness. If your partner repeatedly disrespects your boundaries, it's not a misunderstanding, it's a choice. And choices have consequences. You deserve a partner who sees your boundaries as a guide to loving and respecting you better, not as obstacles to overcome. Someone who values you will want to understand your needs, not diminish them. The hardest part of enforcing boundaries is recognizing when someone is unwilling or unable to respect them. It's tempting to give them the benefit of the doubt, to believe that they'll change, or to hope that your love will inspire them to treat you better. But ignoring this behavior only enables it. Disrespecting boundaries is not a habit that disappears on its own. It requires self-awareness, accountability, and a genuine desire to change. You deserve a relationship where your boundaries are honored and celebrated, not questioned or ignored. Protecting your boundaries is not selfish, it's self-respect. Never compromise that for someone who doesn't respect the essence of who you are. Remember, love without respect isn't love, it's just a shadow of what a true partnership could and should be. Emotional manipulation is one of the most insidious behaviors in a relationship. Unlike physical actions or words that can be easily identified, manipulation often hides in the gray areas of intention and perception, making it hard to see clearly. At first glance, it might look like concern or even affection, a partner insisting they know what's best for you or playing the victim to gain your sympathy. Manipulation can take many forms, from subtle guilt tripping to outright gaslighting. It might sound like, if you really loved me, you'd do this for me, or you're just too sensitive, I didn't mean it that way. Over time, these statements plant seeds of doubt in your mind. You start questioning your feelings, your boundaries, and even your perception of events. Am I overreacting? Did I misunderstand them? Am I the problem? This self-doubt is exactly what a manipulative partner wants, because it shifts the power dynamic in their favor. Gaslighting, one of the most harmful forms of emotional manipulation, involves making you doubt your own memory, perception, or judgment. A manipulative partner might deny, saying something hurtful, twist the truth, or accuse you of imagining things. Over time, this tactic chips away at your confidence and makes you feel disoriented and dependent on them for clarity. It's not just frustrating, it's emotionally damaging, leaving you trapped in a cycle of self-doubt and confusion. Another common tactic is guilt tripping. A manipulative partner will use your empathy and love against you, making you feel responsible for their emotions or actions. They might say things like, after everything I've done for you, how could you say no? Or, "You're the reason I'm upset." These statements are designed to shift blame onto you, forcing you to prioritize their feelings over your own. Over time, you may find yourself constantly trying to appease them, walking on eggshells to avoid conflict or guilt. Blame shifting is another hallmark of emotional manipulation. When confronted with their hurtful behavior, a manipulative partner will redirect the conversation to focus on your perceived flaws or mistakes. Instead of taking accountability, they'll say things like, "Well, you made me act that way," or, "If you weren't so difficult, I wouldn't have to do this." This tactic not only deflects responsibility, but also makes you feel like the problem, silencing your valid concerns and reinforcing their control. One of the most damaging effects of habitual emotional manipulation is how it isolates you from your own intuition and support systems. You might find yourself avoiding friends and family because you're too ashamed to share what's happening, or because your partner has convinced you that others don't understand you the way they do. This isolation deepens their control, leaving you with fewer resources to see the truth or seek help. What makes emotional manipulation so destructive is that it masquerades as love. A manipulative partner might say they're doing these things because they care or because they love you so much, but real love doesn't need to manipulate. Real love listens, supports, and respects. It doesn't twist words, distort reality, or use guilt as a weapon. Recognizing emotional manipulation is the first step toward breaking free from its grip. If you feel consistently confused, guilty, or anxious in your relationship, it's important to take a step back and evaluate the patterns. Do you feel heard and valued, or do you feel dismissed and controlled? Do you feel empowered in your relationship, or do you feel small and unsure of yourself? The truth is, habitual emotional manipulation is not a behavior that can be fixed with time or love alone. It stems from deep-seated insecurity or a need for control in the manipulative partner, and unless they are willing to acknowledge their actions and seek help, the cycle will continue. No matter how much you care for someone, it is not your responsibility to endure their manipulation or try to change them. You deserve a relationship that uplifts you, not one that diminishes your sense of self. A healthy partnership is built on mutual respect, trust, and empowerment, not control, guilt, or confusion. If you find yourself trapped in a web of emotional manipulation, it's time to prioritize your well-being and reclaim your voice. Remember, love should never feel like a battlefield where one person always loses. It should be a place of safety where both people can grow and thrive. Walk away from anyone who uses manipulation to hold you back. You deserve so much better. In relationships, trust, respect, and honesty are non-negotiable. Betrayal without accountability, disrespect for boundaries, and habitual emotional manipulation are clear signs of a toxic dynamic. These behaviors erode self-worth, undermine trust, and distort love into control. You deserve a partner who values your boundaries, takes responsibility for their actions, and supports your growth. Love isn't about enduring harm, it's about mutual care and empowerment. Never settle for less than the respect and dignity you deserve. Choose yourself.